Hello, welcome and welcome back to A Stiff Receipt. Today, we're going to be taking a look at and reviewing AEW Fight Forever. So I was fortunate enough to receive an early code for the game, so I've had a few days to check everything out and see how everything plays and all of that, and I can say my general impressions so far have been mostly good. So as most people know, AEW Fight Forever has taken the arcade-style approach over the simulation that the WWE games have done. Well, I'm going to do some comparisons between the two, but just note, for the most part, these are two completely different games. So I want to start off by saying all my time played so far has been on PC. PC was actually the platform I was most concerned about as far as performance and optimization and all of that goes. And I am happy to report that this game plays extraordinarily well. I mean, the entirety of the time that I spent with the game, I do not think my frame rate ever dips below the cap of 120 that I had set. You can set, 30, 60, 120, or you can just set no limit. I had it set to 120. Now, any point in time that it ever dip below 120. The combat is just so smooth and fluid. It really feels good. It doesn't feel like, what you would expect from a wrestling game. I think it feels more like a fighting game. Think of playing almost like playing like Street Fighter or Tekken, just not as deep or complicated, right? The control scheme, even though it's pretty dumbed down, there's not a lot of technical, confusing stuff with the controls. It still took a while to get used to, for sure, especially after coming off of playing the WWE games over the years. Very different setup. You got Y is kick, X is punch, A is grapple, B is Irish whip, left bumper is reversing grapples, and right bumper is reversing strikes. And that's pretty well the gist of it. You do your finisher by moving the right stick in any direction, and you do your signature by moving the D-pad in a direction. So it's pretty simplistic, but it does take a little bit of an adjustment if you're coming off of the other WWE games and whatnot. So this overall makes it a very easy pick up and play option. You go to exhibition mode, you pick your match, you pick your person, and there you are, and there's no bullshit. The load times are great. Everything's quick. It's a very nice experience. You can tell that they spent a lot of time putting small details in the game. Things like throwing people into the barricade, like the barricade moving, being able to jump up on top of the barricade and do dives off of the barricade, and things like throwing people on top of weapons. It feels like it actually does something. Like when you throw them down, it does an effect and a camera zoom in to know that hey, you threw them on there, that probably hurt them, right? Which is, you don't get that kind of feedback in the WWE games. I even had a moment where I was laying on a ladder and Darby Allin had placed another ladder on top of me and then springboard on top of that, creating a ladder sandwich. It was awesome. It was amazing. Love it. One of the big things with this game is being able to do intergender matches. You can, with any of the matches, you can have any man or woman opponent fight each other in any manner of way. Whether it's a mixed tag, a singles, a four-way, the casino battle royale, all of it. All of it is, every character is completely playable in any match, and that is wonderful. Men and women can bleed in this game, unlike WWE. Now, there's no universe-style mode in the game, which is a little unfortunate, but they've kind of set up just exhibition mode, how it used to be in the past, where everything is kept up with through just the regular exhibition matches. You can make title matches at any time, any way you want in exhibition mode. You can go manage the title holders and change who you want manually that way. The game also keeps track of the win-loss record of every person, including the AEW people and the creator wrestlers, which I thought was great. I love any of that stat tracking stuff that's already there that you don't have to manually. So that was really dope to see. It also keeps track of various other stats like gameplay time and just a bunch of other random stuff. I love things like that. Maybe I'm probably weird, but I like stuff like that. The other thing it does is it keeps a list of your top matches ever. It'll show a star rating and who was in the match. Again, that kind of stuff I absolutely love. It's just, that's one of those, something like I wasn't expecting to see, but like, it's great. I love it. That's wonderful. Stuff like that is awesome. All right, and now after all of this praise, I think it's time to move on to the downside that I've had just generally with gameplay and whatnot. So I feel like the game as of right now, there is a big lack in match variety. Now you've got your singles, your tags, you got triple threat, fatal four-way, you've got exploding barbed wire deathmatch, you've got the casino battle royale, you've got ladder match. Those are basically the big, like, all the match types, right? A singles match can be just normal singles. It can be a lights out match or falls count anywhere. What I thought was strange is the 3 and 4 person matches are just that. You can't do anything else with those at all. Tag teams can only be 2 people. You cannot make a tag team of more than 2 people at all. You cannot play any matches with teams of more than 2 people even. It's weird decision I didn't care for. Maybe that'll change later, but right now, I thought that was kind of weird, especially since now we even got the Trios titles, which, by the way, the Trios and the All-Atlantic, or whatever it's called now, is not in the game as of this moment, but I would assume that it probably will be at some point. So the Casino Battle Royale, you can actually do a singles, like a normal Casino Battle Royale, or a tag Casino Battle Royale. So that I did think was cool. I like that they included that. But then we get to the ladder matches. Now, I will say, the ladder matches, I think so far, are the most fun I've had with the game. Ladder matches are exclusively singles. You can't do a tag team, you can't do a triple threat, or a 4-way, nothing. Ladder matches are only 1v1, and I really hate that. And again, this is something, if they're planning on support the game long term, that could be addressed later on down the road. It's just, ladder matches are always some of my favorite to do in these wrestling games, and it was really unfortunate to see that you could only do singles ladder matches, unless I'm crazy and I missed something somewhere. The other thing I thought was weird is we've got like 40 plus weapons or whatnot in the game, but it doesn't seem that there's any clear way to choose which weapon you grab. You know, in WWE, you have like the wheel and then you can pick one. Obviously, it'd be kind of hard to do that for 40 weapons. I am pretty sure, like, when you create a wrestler, you can have like a specified weapon, like a special weapon or whatever that preferred weapon. So I would imagine the AEW wrestlers as well probably have a preferred weapon somewhere. Another thing I thought was really neat is you could actually grab weapons from the crowd itself. Another big gripe I always have with the WWE games is even on the hardest difficulty, Legend or whatever it's called, the game isn't hard enough most of the time. I feel like it's too easy. Fight Forever, I've had some mixed experiences with that so far. So Elite is the highest difficulty. There's 4 difficulties. Now, I feel like even with the highest difficulty, winning a match is not that difficult as long as you get used to the reversal system. I would argue that the game may have more of a challenge than the WWE 2K games, but I still feel like it's lacking in difficulty a little bit. So as far as bugs and whatnot, I haven't experienced a lot of bugs, but I have noticed that the AI seems to be really weird with dives. Like if you're outside of the ring, the AI will sometimes do some really weird glitchy dives or like kicks through the ropes that completely miss and look super bad. Don't know what's up with that. That was a little strange. I've also seen where sometimes some of the finishers like a Code Red or like a Canadian Destroyer type thing where they flip. Sometimes they don't like hold on to them during the whole movement, and they'll be like completely separate from each other in the ring. Grabbing a weapon, sometimes they just won't do it. You more so have to be like just standing right on top of the damn thing, but they do not always pick up weapons first try, and that gets really annoying. And the replay camera. So the replay camera is really cool, especially when you do a finisher. It'll do this like cool slow motion thing, but I've noticed that I feel like the replay camera is too zoomed in most of the time. And if you're outside of the ring, especially, especially, most of the time you can't even see what's going on because the replay camera looks so zoomed in and bad. Now moving on over to the creation side of the game. I think it's a very mixed experience. I think as of right now, the character creation is very, very lacking. It's not great. There's not a lot of options, and I don't think it looks very good. You can, however, purchase things in the in-game shop, which I will talk about later, that adds more items and whatnot, but still very, very lacking, and I feel like what they do have available isn't good for the most part. One thing I did think was cool, though, since they sell things, everything through ProWrestlingTees.com or whatever, the game actually has a whole bunch of the t-shirt designs from ProWrestlingShop.com, AEW Shop or whatever. That was really cool. That's something I also think that they could add into the shop, to buy with in-game money or whatnot. That would be cool. I did really like that. But pretty much everything, hair, facial hair especially, clothing options, all of that stuff, very, very limited on what you can do currently at the moment. Was kind of a bummer to see. One thing I did like about the character creation is when you do Road to Elite, right? You got your match gear, you got your entrance gear, and then you've got your backstage gear. That has been a big gripe for me, that in the WWE games, you can't change the street gear. The game just gives you whatever, and that's what you're stuck with. In the AEW game, you can change your match attire, what you walk out with during your entrance, and what your street clothes are, what you're wearing backstage and whatnot. Love that. So on Creative Wrestlers, you have 5 slots for finishers and 5 slots for signatures. Crazy. I don't know why you would need that many, but that's the limit. Another small quality of life thing I do want to mention is if you like specific moves and you use them often and you don't have to scroll through the big long list like how it is in the 2K games, you can actually favorite things so that you can just go to the favorites tab and it's there and you don't have to do a deep dive searching for that specific thing. So the entrances are weird in this game because you walk out on stage and then they do a move and then it's over. They don't actually go down the ramp to the ring. They're very short, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like it at all. I'm gonna be real. But what I do find interesting about it is, even though that's the case, they still give you a ridiculous amount of customization for your entrance in that short 5-second bit. You can do so much and it's actually crazy. So there is a lot of entrance moves. You've obviously got all of the AEW moves from everybody, and then you've got 70 generic ones to go through. It's crazy how many there are. So not only can you pick the move that your character does on the stage, on top of that, you can also choose the hand gesture. So you can have your guy do whatever movement, but then also have his hands be doing something. So you be walking out there and throw your arms out, but then have him flipping the crowd off instead. Such a weird little detail that I wasn't expecting in such a short entrance, but just love the little things like that. And there was a pretty good amount of hand gestures as well, along with the general entrance movement. And on top of that, you can, if you pick a specified entrance that allows it, you can actually carry a weapon or a prop to the ring with you. And there's a big list of all of that stuff. So that was, again, unexpected but really cool to see. And on top of all of that, you can also choose the prop that is behind your character during their entrance. It can be random statues, pillars. There was one that's a hospital bed with a guy standing next to it. There's one, I think it was a bathtub with 2 women in swimsuits, crazy. There's just all kinds of different random backdrops that you can have. But I loved that. That was great. Something else that you can do during these short entrances is you have the option to change your camera angles with the bumpers, and you can use the face buttons to cue pyro, and you can actually use the D-pad to cue screen effects. And again, it's just wild how much you can do with these entrances with them being so short. It's crazy. So the pyro at any time, you can just spam the pyro buttons all you want. And those pyro buttons, you assign the 4 pyros that you want. There's a huge list of all different kind of pyros and effects. There was one that's just like leaves falling. It's crazy. So you can assign 4 of those on the face buttons, and you've got screen effects that can go from like, you know, changing everything to black and white or making everything shake. You've got 4 of those that you can set to the D-pad for your entrance that you can cue at any time during the entrance. It's wild. It's wild. There is a lot of entrance music to choose from in this game. You've obviously got all of the actual entrance musics from all the AEW superstars, but you've also got just a crap load of other music and songs to choose from. So definitely didn't skimp out on that. And on top of that, another random, like, unexpected thing, they actually have 8-bit, like, chiptune versions of a good majority of the songs in the game as well. Very unexpected, but, you know, a neat little touch. So from what I've seen, there is a lot of entrance videos, and a lot of the wrestlers actually have multiple, you know, just all the ones that they've had over the years, which leads me to believe also that we'll probably have updated ones in the AEW shop. So that was cool to see, but there is there's no video creation system in the game, and there's not any generic videos, which I thought was a little strange given the amount of effort they put into making so many general, like, entrance walks and songs. So that was a weird omission to me. Possibly my favorite part about the character creation is a small touch. When you finish creating your character, it actually gives you the, your character is all elite graphic, you know, that they would post up on social media and whatever, and it shows a picture of your character. Love that. That's such a small little touch that I just thought was really, really neat, and I thought I should mention. And then moving on over to team creation. There's not much to say about the team creation. Teams, as I said earlier, can only be 2 people. You can have more than 2. There's a lot of generic names that you can choose from, but that's it. That's basically it. You can change the name. You can throw the 2 people in there, and then you've got, you know, all the different tag team moves that they can do as their entrance, and you can choose like their double team tag moves as well in the ring. And that's basically it. There's not a whole lot going on there. It is a little disappointing, but kind of expected given everything I've learned about everything else. So something else that I learned was you can actually edit the wrestlers like that are on the roster similar to WWE, but you're very limited. I mean, very limited. You can't change like the color of anything. You're basically locked into just like adding a t-shirt on most of these outfits, which I thought was a weird omission. It seems like they're intentionally locking that out so that you can't create multiple different variants of colors of the same attire, so that they can potentially charge for that with real money or add it to the AEW shop in the future. That is my guess. So Create Arena is interesting because I do feel like there's a lot of the options are similar to the WWE Create Arena. There's some lacking stuff as far as like the stage and screen. You can obviously choose the stage and screen combo of all the AEW shows and the pay-per-views. And then there was a handful of stage options that you can unlock through the AEW shop, but you can't choose the screen and stage separately. So, like, if you pick one of these stages that's in the AEW shop right now, for example, they don't have a screen. So you can't have any video displaying during the arena entrances or match or whatever. So thought that was lame. That whole setup with the stage and screen area was kind of a bummer. I'm gonna be real. But everything else was actually, I feel like, surprisingly okay. Like, you can do just like you can in the WWE games, where you can change the mat color, the mat, the apron, the turnbuckle post, the pads, the ropes. You can even change the style of the turnbuckle pads. The mat outside of the ring can also be changed color. The actual crowd area where the crowd is standing, that can actually also be changed. The barricade has a handful of different options, and you can also change the colors of those. Same with the ramp to the ring. You can't customize the ramp itself like the style of it, but you can change the color and graphic and whatnot on that. I think one of the surprising things was the game actually has a bunch of props, a pretty good amount of props that you can add to these arenas. There's a lot of goofy ones, like you can add like actual like farm animals. I think there was like a horse. I think there was like a water buffalo or something. I that was a little wild. But you have all these props, but you can't move them around and place them wherever you want. It basically gives you like a predetermined like slots that they can go in. So it was all right. Like I find it odd that the majority of the Create Arena is actually really good, but there's no way to custom do anything. There's no custom logos or anything. There's no way to do that. And then the stage itself was you're very limited on what you can do with the stage. I was really surprised how little effort I feel like they put into that itself. I want to briefly touch on the online. It was not available during my time testing the game and whatnot. From what I can tell, all matches that are available in regular mode are available to play online. And you've got casual and ranked. And the ranked, actually, it reminded me of like, you know, like a fighting game, like if you were playing Tekken or something, the ranking system for that. So I thought that seems pretty cool, but as I said, I wasn't able to test it, so I don't know how the stability and all that is for it. So I want to touch on the shop as well. I've mentioned the shop a lot. So the shop in-game was a scary thing to learn about, especially because they were throwing new attires up and whatnot in there. So was a little concerned about that because I was assuming that there was going to be real money involved. But as of right now, not saying this can't change in the future, as of right at this moment, there is absolutely zero paid currency that you can buy. The game has no way of buying any currency. The only currency that you have is all earned in-game through playing matches. And that is the only money that you can spend on the shop items. Currently in the shop, they have like Cody Rhodes, Aubrey Edwards, and then there was a Young Bucks alternate attire as well as a Britt Baker alternate attire. And what I'm hoping is that is the kind of stuff we see over time, because one of my big gripes right now, which I'll get it more into later, is everything in the game, appearance-wise and attire-wise, is just super outdated by like a couple years. So if they use the shop to throw that in there and then you can buy it with the in-game cash or whatever, that would be awesome. I thought the prices of all the stuff in the shop was very low. Like, you spend like even a handful of hours just playing matches, you will have enough cash to buy literally every single item in that shop just by completing like random challenges without trying. I'm sure I would assume that that'll probably change. They will probably make stuff more expensive in the future, I would guess. But yeah, as of right now, everything is really cheap. There's a lot more stuff in the shop than I was expecting at launch, but most of it is just like random entrance moves or like random Create a Wrestler items that are not like super exciting. I think there's some random like Create Arena props as well, stuff like that. And as I said, getting money is pretty easy to do in the game. Obviously, you'll get a lot more earlier on because you're completing some of the easier challenges and whatnot, but you know, as long as you're playing the game, you're probably getting like a couple thousand cash each match, and even more so if you are doing the challenges. Since I have not had the opportunity to spend enough time with the game to go through and play Road to Elite, which I will be doing a dive of that on stream on my Twitch channel, which I will put down here at the bottom. I only have access to 3 of the mini games at the moment. One of them was just a general AEW trivia game, which it was neat, I guess. You know, it was fun for what it was. There was another one where you're just in the ring and poker chips fall from the sky and you gotta run around and collect the most poker chips. It felt very like Mario Party like, which it's very goofy and strange, but like you know, it was fun. I'll give it that. It was fun. And I think the most fun I had on one was the one that was Penta Says, which is a Simon Says, but it's Penta doing all of the motions. And you just have button prompts come up on the screen and you have to hit the button prompts to the beat of the song or whatever. That one was probably the most fun I had. As I said, those are the only 3 that I had at the moment. I could see them being, you know, like a fun thing to do if you had like a group of people around doing some couch gaming and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Very goofy, but I dig it. So, as I said, I've not gotten to experience Road to Elite because I just haven't had the time frame to do it. But I will be doing that on stream. But what I did see from Road to Elite is not only can you do your creator wrestlers in Road to Elite, you can also do actual AEW superstars as well. And you can, it does seem like you can customize the AEW wrestlers in Road to Elite, which hopefully I would assume that it would be more that you could do in the base game. Realistically, the Road to Elite, you could unlock other attires and clothing options as well. Realistically, I just, you know, I don't know as of this moment. There's a lot of like cool like video packages showing the history of AEW that I thought was really nice and wholesome. That was really cool to see. There was a random option at the very beginning when you're creating your character that I just thought was kind of a neat thing to point out. You have your food option, which I'm assuming you buy food or whatever for your character to bring your stamina back up and whatnot. You actually have the option to choose whether or not your character is a vegetarian or not a vegetarian. Very random little thing that I just thought was kind of neat. The one big downside to this that I thought was kind of a weird omission, unless I'm missing something, you cannot have more than one Road to Elite like game going at a time. So when you go to hit new after you already have one going, the game actually just says, would you like, it's like you've already got one going, would you like to delete your old one to start a new one? So that was, I didn't like that. I don't get why games keep doing that whole situation where we can only have one save of a story mode and whatnot. Don't like it at all. So overall, final thoughts and things that I just kind of want to talk about with the game. I think the first thing, you know, this might not be a big deal to everybody else, but to me, I thought it was kind of lame. So the game has been in development for so long, and we've had all these delays and pushbacks and whatnot, to the point where everything is so outdated. The titles are outdated. The attires are like 2 years outdated. They're so outdated. And they didn't update any of that. They've just kind of left everything as it is, and I'm assuming they're gonna probably put that stuff out through AEW Shop, hopefully with not real money. But they decide to throw the DLC still in the game, including one of the DLC packs is FTR, which is crazy to me. There's no reason that they should not just be in the game by default at this point. After all this time, and it is my understanding that if you buy, I could be wrong here, you buy the DLC pack, you get FTR and all them, right? And you just have them immediately. Like, they're all available, like, right now, as soon as you buy the DLC pack. It's not like, oh, we gotta wait a few months so that we can develop the characters or whatnot before adding them. It's like, from my understanding, they're available and ready now, so there is no reason that they should be $20 extra for all of that. If they're ready before the game's even out. That's crazy. That feels like a scam. Another thing that I feel like I should mention is, as I said, I feel like they've gone through great lengths here to make sure that you cannot recreate attires yourself. At WWE, there's a huge, strong community of people like recreating like new attires from like pay-per-views and whatnot, throwing them up. And so, you know, that is always awesome to see in WWE. This game, there's no community creations. You can't do anything like that. There's no custom images that you can upload of any kind, nothing like that. They've gone out of their way to make it to where you cannot change the color of any attire. So like you take like a CM Punk or whatnot, right? You've got like the basic trunks with the Chicago colors. Let's say you wanted to make it like how his modern ones have been with the black and pink or whatever. Can't do that. Game doesn't allow you to do it, which is, I think that's just kind of not good. And then on top of all of that, they have also gone out of their way to block any kind of modding with the PC version of the game. They have put blocks on the files so that they cannot be accessed by these, you know, the programs that the modders make to, you know, mod the game file. And this is the same thing that we went through with WWE 2K20, which was also one of the reasons why that was one of the it was not one of the shittiest, it was the shittiest wrestling game literally ever made. So there was obviously a lot of other things causing it to have that title, but that was definitely a big part of it. And to see them do that with this game, I really don't like that. I feel like it's kind of lame, and it leads me to believe that they're going to eventually do like attire packs or something and like charge money for them. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. The only way that I feel like this could all be justified with the DLC and the not being able to customize attires, all of that stuff, is if they support the game long term, if they're planning on not releasing a game, you know, every year or every 2 years or whatever, and they continue to add these new attires to the actual shop in-game that you can buy with the in-game money, that would be great. That would be ideal. This would all be a lot less problematic if that is what their intention is. I'm just worried we're gonna end up having a situation where it's like, we've got a new attire on here, it costs like 5 million in-game cash, or you can just give us $5 actual and you can have it that way. I'm worried that that's where we're gonna end up with this game, so I'm a little cautious because of that. There's no GM style mode or a universe type mode at all. Like, no GM mode. I didn't really expect one, to be fair. The universe style mode, not like a full-fledged universe mode like 2K, but like, I expected something along the lines is that you can kind of imitate that just in exhibition alone. So it's not a huge deal. You don't have any way of, like, you know, if you wanted to book like a whole card and just set it up and whatnot, and then, like, you know, have the dates and book ahead of time and all that. You can't do that. You just have to do each match at a time. So it's not a huge problem, but I feel like I should have note that. Another big problem I have with this game: the women's roster in this game is incredibly lacking. Again, I feel like this game has been like mostly done for years. At least that's what it feels like because of how outdated everything is. And the women's roster definitely reflects that. There is such a lack of just so many people that they could have had on this roster. It's crazy. Like, there's no Athena, there's no Jamie Hayter, no Sky Blue, no Red Velvet, no Penelope Ford, no Willow, no Toni Storm, no Saraya. Like, there's so much, like, big, great talent that is completely omitted, and I don't get why that was the case. Hopefully we'll see more of, you know, updates to the roster through whether it's paid DLC, I guess, or in-game shop stuff, because there definitely is a very big lack of talent on the women's roster. Not to say that what they've got included isn't great. It's obviously they made great choices. They just there should have been more. There should have absolutely been more. And well, I think that's gonna do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Given all of the things, all of my complaints and gripes and worries, I still think that the game is worth getting. You just gotta know what you're getting into. If you want that real simulation style wrestling thing where everything looks real and all of that, then you're probably not going to want to pick this up. But if you want a wrestling game that is an absolute freaking blast to play, just go buy it right now. I said to myself so many times over these last years, this game was not for me. It does not look like it's a thing for me. I prefer the simulation. I prefer the realism. I like all of that more. And let me tell you, I have put so much time into this game, and at no point have I just not had the most fun ever. It is a blast. Highly recommend you pick it up. But anyways, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for watching. If you've not subscribed, be sure to do so. Like the video, check out all the social stuff in the description below, and I'm out of here. Peace out. Take it easy, have a good one, and I will see you guys all next time.